Hey you guys, thank you for joining me on The Balding Artist. Today we're going to look at drawing straight lines. It may sound really basic and it may seem like a really simple thing, but there are a couple tips and tricks, a couple things that you can do to practice and even warm up that will really improve the clarity of your lines, make sure they're straight and confident. So I like to go over what we are drawing with each time. So this is a Bic round stick medium pen, and as you can see, it's super basic. Especially when I'm practicing, I don't like to use expensive pens. I know a lot of people probably think otherwise, but I definitely am a huge believer in you practice with the bad materials, I guess, with the inexpensive materials, so that you aren't worried about messing up, so you can freely put down what you're thinking. You aren't worried about whether it's bad or good, and you don't feel like you have to make anything great out of it. So I will try to include links to the exact materials that I use in the comments of each video. But for now, let's go ahead and get started. So I do stretch before I start drawing, and it's weird, and people always look at me weird when I do it, but starting with the wrist, going to the elbow, and especially the shoulder. If there's one thing that you're going to stretch, I would at least pull that shoulder up over your head, roll a couple circles, and that's going to help you get warmed up. A couple things to remember is our hands and arms. So you want to use all three of your joints when you're drawing anything. You don't want to exclude it to the wrist, otherwise it's going to be shaky because it's your least steady of your joints. It's going to be shaky, and it's generally going to be curved if you're only using your wrist. So you want to use at the very least your wrist and elbow. If you can get your shoulder into every line, then that's even better, but that sometimes doesn't happen unless you're drawing big. So our joints generally draw naturally at 45-degree angles. So that's usually where I start with some straight lines. And it usually takes me until about like the fourth or fifth until I hit one that I'm like, ooh, that was good. If you need to grab a ruler and actually see how straight some of these are, because after a while you stop kind of seeing that one's actually pretty good. You can see some of these are less good. I had a little bump there. But that'll actually tell you a lot about how well you're doing. See, so it probably took me closer to like 8 to 10 before I think that third one I hit it right on the money. But that's a good way to check and keep yourself honest. Another activity or warm-up that I commonly do is I draw a dot and then start somewhere else, and I try and get to the dot from a couple different angles, trying not to change my trajectory. Ooh, that one was pretty good. I'm gonna check that one. It's actually really gratifying when you can actually look on a ruler and say like, oh wow, that was a pretty straight line and it went exactly where I wanted it to. So if you need to turn your paper, don't be afraid to. Ooh, that one was kind of bowed. Ooh, that one was nice. But this is something, especially when you don't know what to draw, just start with this. There's really no pressure to it. You're just practicing. A nice one to accompany this is drawing nice circles, which I think I'll go over in a different video, some tricks to drawing circles. Another thing that you'll want to try is ghosting. So ghosting is where you go over the line a couple times, basically falsely, until you're going to actually put it down. So I'm going to do that over here. Let me make sure I'm on the screen. So if I'm trying to get to there, I may run through a couple times, not really hitting it, and see where my pen ends up. And when it's gone through it a couple times, I'll actually put it down. And as you can see, it was a pretty straight line and pretty close to that mark. But that's generally not something I do until I'm a little bit more concerned. Ooh, that was horrible. But it's a great warm-up. It's a great way to get yourself in the right mindset. It gives you a little boost of confidence, or at least it does me, when I start seeing that I can draw pretty straight lines and get where I need to go. Straight lines is one thing. We'll go into curved lines and gesture drawings more a little bit in the future. But thank you for spending this little bit of time with me to warm up, and hopefully you can click through the next video and keep your drawing practice. Keep going, you guys, and I'll see you back soon. Bye.